That morning, the words Ryuichi Kihara said to Riku Miura were not "do your best." They were not "you'll be fine." They were not technical corrections, strategic advice, or last-minute adjustments before competition. The foundation of what would eventually become the greatest pair in Japanese figure skating history was not built on a spectacular lift, a breathtaking throw jump, or a standing ovation from thousands of fans. It may have started with something far smaller, a simple breakfast, a quiet conversation, a moment so ordinary that most people would never have noticed it. Yet years later, when this story spread among skating fans around the world, many were left stunned, because suddenly, everything made sense. Before they became world champions, before they made history, before they inspired millions, they had already become something much rarer than champions. They had become true partners. Today, when people hear the names Riku Miura and Ryuichi Kihara, they immediately picture elegant performances, synchronized movements, and warm smiles that seem to light up an entire arena. Their story feels almost destined now, as if they were always meant to skate together, as if success was inevitable. But that version of the story leaves out something important. They were not a perfect pair from the beginning. They were not instantly connected. They were not immediately trusted by fans around the world. In fact, their partnership began with uncertainty, awkwardness, and questions neither of them could fully answer. In the winter of 2019, only 3 months after officially forming their partnership, they traveled to Canada and began building something completely new. Kihara was the experienced one, older, calmer, and already familiar with pair skating. Miura was young, talented, energetic, and still trying to understand the person who would become her most important teammate. Looking back now, it almost seems impossible to imagine any distance between them. Fans are used to seeing them exchange smiles after performances, support each other through mistakes, and celebrate victories with the kind of joy usually reserved for family. But in those early days, things were very different. Miura later admitted that her first impression of Kihara was not especially warm. She described him as difficult to approach. He was 9 years older than her, quiet, serious, and hard to read. She often wondered what he was thinking. Casual conversations did not come naturally. He felt more like a distant senior than a future partner. That was the reality at the beginning. Yet only a few months later, they found themselves preparing for one of the biggest moments of their young partnership, the 2019 NHK Trophy. For most athletes, a major international debut already comes with enormous pressure. For a newly formed pair, the pressure is multiplied. Pair skating is unlike almost any other sport. Success is not determined by individual talent alone. Every movement requires trust. Every lift demands confidence. Every throw jump asks one skater to literally place their safety in another person's hands. Timing must be perfect. Communication must be flawless. Even the smallest hesitation can lead to mistakes. Pair skating is not simply about skill. It is about belief. It is about knowing that another person will be there when you need them most. During the short program at NHK Trophy, Miura and Kihara showed flashes of that potential. Their performance exceeded expectations. For a partnership only 3 months old, it was remarkably promising. When they left the ice, there were smiles. There was hope. There was a feeling that perhaps this partnership could become something special. Maybe they really could build a future together. Maybe they belonged on this stage after all. But sometimes the biggest tests arrive immediately after moments of optimism. The following morning, before the free skate, everything changed. During official practice, Miura struggled. Nothing seemed to work the way she wanted. Mistakes appeared where confidence had existed only hours earlier. Frustration quickly turned into disappointment. Disappointment turned into self-doubt. And self-doubt became something heavier. Imagine being 18 years old. Imagine standing on one of the biggest stages of your career. Imagine representing your country with a partner you have only recently met. Then imagine feeling as if you were about to let everyone down. The fear would be overwhelming. Questions would begin to race through your mind. What if I fail? What if I ruin our performance? What if my mistakes hurt my partner? What if I am not ready for this level? Those thoughts can become impossible to escape. They grow louder with every passing minute. They steal focus, they drain confidence, and perhaps most dangerously, they make athletes forget how good they truly are. Miura was carrying all of that pressure, the weight of expectations, the uncertainty of a new partnership, the fear of disappointing someone who had already invested so much trust in her. Most people, faced with that situation, would react in predictable ways. They would discuss technical fixes. They would review mistakes. They would analyze problems. They would offer motivational speeches about fighting harder and pushing through adversity. None of those responses are necessarily wrong. In fact, they are exactly what many athletes expect to hear before competition. But Ryuichi Kihara chose a different path. Instead of focusing on the mistakes, he invited Miura to breakfast. That decision sounds simple, almost insignificant, yet it revealed something extraordinary about his understanding of partnership. Because when they sat down together, he did not spend the entire time talking about skating. He did not criticize her practice session. He did not pressure her to recover immediately. He did not remind her of expectations or results. Instead, they talked. Just talked. About ordinary things. About life beyond the rink. About subjects completely unrelated to competition. Slowly, almost without realizing it, Miura's anxiety began to loosen its grip. The tension that had been building inside her started to fade. Her mind finally had room to breathe again. Years later, when fans around the world learned about this moment, many were deeply moved. Some called it kindness. Others called it emotional intelligence. Many described it as the behavior of a truly exceptional partner. Because Kihara understood something that is often forgotten in elite sports. Athletes are not machines. They are human beings. Before confidence can return, fear must be eased. Before performance can improve, the mind must be allowed to recover. Technical advice means very little when someone's heart is drowning in anxiety. What Miura needed that morning was not another correction. She needed reassurance. Not reassurance through promises, but reassurance through presence. She needed someone to sit beside her and remind her, without saying it directly, that she was not alone. And somehow, Kihara knew exactly that. The more people heard this story, the more they began to understand why this partnership felt different from so many others. Their connection was never built solely on medals or scores. It was built on moments like this, invisible moments, quiet moments, moments that cameras never captured, moments that never appeared on score sheets. Yet those moments would ultimately become the strongest part of their foundation. Because trust is not created during victory. Trust is created long before victory arrives. It is created during uncertainty, during failure, during fear, during mornings when confidence disappears and someone chooses to stay beside you anyway. As the free skate approached, Miura carried something new onto the ice. Not perfect confidence, not certainty, something more important. She carried trust, and that trust would soon face its first true test. As the free skate approached, Miura carried something new onto the ice. Not perfect confidence, not certainty, something far more powerful. She carried trust. And in pair skating, trust can sometimes be worth more than flawless technique. The audience inside the arena had no way of knowing what had happened only hours earlier. They did not know about the frustration from practice. They did not know about the doubts that had threatened to overwhelm a young skater standing at the beginning of her journey. They certainly did not know that a quiet breakfast conversation had helped change the emotional direction of the entire day. From the outside, all they saw were two athletes preparing to compete. But hidden beneath every movement was a bond that had just taken an important step forward. When Miura and Kihara stepped onto the ice, they were still an inexperienced team by international standards. They had not yet become world champions. They had not yet rewritten Japanese figure skating history. They had not yet stood on top of the podium with the entire world watching. Yet something important was already visible. There was a growing sense of belief between them. Every pair skater knows that the most frightening moments happen in fractions of a second. The instant before a throw jump, the moment before a lift leaves the ice, the split second when one athlete must place complete faith in another. Those moments cannot be faked. Either the trust exists or it does not. And little by little, Miura and Kihara were beginning to build that trust. When their performance ended, the smiles on their faces seemed different from the smiles they had shown after the short program. These were not simply the smiles of athletes relieved to finish a competition. They were the smiles of two people who had overcome something together. The scores mattered, the rankings mattered, but there was another victory happening beneath the surface. A partnership that had existed for only a few months had survived its first major emotional challenge. Looking back now, it is tempting to focus only on the medals and accomplishments that followed. The World Championship title, historic performances, Olympic memories, the countless moments that turned them into fan favorites across the globe. But those achievements did not appear out of nowhere. They were built on small moments exactly like this one. Moments when one person chose understanding over criticism. Moments when support mattered more than instruction. Moments when trust became stronger than fear. Perhaps that is why fans from different countries connected so deeply with their story. It was never only about skating, it was about something universal. Everyone knows what it feels like to struggle. Everyone knows what it feels like to doubt themselves. Everyone knows what it feels like to hope that someone will understand what they are going through without needing a long explanation. When people heard about Kihara's decision that morning, many saw something larger than a sports story. They saw an example of leadership that is rarely discussed. Modern sports often celebrate the loudest voices, the toughest coaches, the harshest critics, the people who demand more and push harder. Yet Kihara demonstrated another kind of strength entirely, a quieter strength, a strength that listens before speaking, a strength that notices emotions others might overlook, a strength that understands that sometimes helping someone succeed means easing their burden rather than increasing it. That realization changed how many fans viewed him. Yes, he was an elite athlete. Yes, he was technically brilliant, but he was also someone capable of recognizing what his partner needed emotionally at exactly the right moment. One overseas fan expressed it beautifully. They said that before Kihara lifted Miura into the air, he first lifted her spirit. Those words spread widely because they captured something essential about their relationship. Physical support is visible. Emotional support often remains hidden. Yet emotional support is frequently what makes physical excellence possible. The more people reflected on their journey, the more they began to notice similar patterns everywhere. During difficult competitions, they stayed united. During injuries, they stayed united. During setbacks, they stayed united. Even when circumstances threatened to pull them apart, they somehow found ways to remain connected. That kind of resilience does not happen by accident. It grows from years of shared experiences. It grows from countless conversations, countless acts of patience, countless moments when one person chooses to understand rather than judge. Every successful pair skating team develops technical chemistry, but the greatest teams develop something deeper. They develop emotional chemistry. They learn how to recognize each other's fears before they are spoken aloud. They learn when to push and when to comfort. They learn when advice is needed and when silence is more valuable. Miura and Kihara seem to master those lessons in ways that resonated far beyond the skating world. Fans often described watching them as comforting. Even during difficult performances, there was a warmth surrounding them. Mistakes happened, as they do for every athlete, yet their partnership never seemed defined by those mistakes. Instead, people remembered how they responded to them, the smiles, the encouragement, the quiet understanding, the sense that neither person would ever face a challenge completely alone. That emotional atmosphere became part of their identity. It became one of the reasons audiences continued supporting them through every stage of their career. In a sport where pressure can sometimes feel overwhelming, they reminded people that kindness and excellence do not have to exist separately. In fact, they can strengthen each other. As the years passed, their achievements grew larger. Historic results followed. Records were broken. Expectations increased. The spotlight became brighter. Yet the qualities that made people fall in love with their story remained remarkably unchanged. They continued to treat each other with respect. They continued to communicate openly. They continued to show the same care that had once appeared during a simple breakfast before an important competition. And perhaps that is the most remarkable part of all. Success often changes people. Fame often changes relationships. Pressure often exposes weaknesses that were previously hidden. Yet the foundation of Miura and Kihara's partnership seemed to become stronger rather than weaker. The trust that began developing during those uncertain early months continued to grow. It carried them through victories. It carried them through disappointments. It carried them through injuries, setbacks, and moments when many athletes might have given up. There is another reason this story resonates so deeply. It challenges the way many people think about greatness. We often imagine champions as individuals who overcome everything through personal determination alone. We picture relentless discipline, endless sacrifice, and extraordinary talent. Those qualities are certainly important. But the story of Miura and Kihara suggests something else. Greatness is not always about standing alone. Sometimes greatness comes from learning how to stand together. Sometimes the strongest people are not those who carry every burden themselves. Sometimes they are the people willing to help carry someone else's burden too. Kihara's choice that morning did not guarantee future championships. It did not instantly create a world-class pair, but it planted a seed of trust, a seed of confidence, a seed of partnership. Over time, that seed would grow into something extraordinary. Years later, when they stood at the top of the sport, fans looked back and saw the connection. The World Championship medals, the historic performances, the emotional victories. None of them existed separately from that foundation. They existed because of it. The road to becoming the best pair in the world was not built only inside arenas filled with applause. It was also built in quiet restaurants, empty practice rinks, difficult conversations, and ordinary mornings. It was built in moments nobody expected to matter, and perhaps that is the true lesson hidden inside their story. History is not always created during the moments everyone remembers. Sometimes history begins during moments no one notices at all. A conversation, a gesture, a decision to be kind. A breakfast shared between two athletes still trying to learn how to trust each other. Long before they became world champions, long before they inspired millions of fans, Riku Miura and Ryuichi Kihara were already building the foundation of something special. Not through spectacular victories, not through perfect performances, but through compassion, patience, and understanding. And in the end, that may have been the most powerful element of their success. Because medals can tarnish, records can eventually be broken, scores can be forgotten, but the trust they built, the trust that began taking shape during those uncertain early days, became something far more lasting. It became the heart of their story. And that heart is what continues to inspire people around the world today.